These two guys have Minnesota sports flowing in their veins. Mackey and Judd on Score North and ScoreNorth.com.
Little scoop session here, and a happy Reckless Speculation Thursday to all who celebrate. He is our guy, Darren Doogie Wolfson from the 5 Eyewitness News Sports Department, or in this case, the 5 Eyewitness News Zoom Room next to the cafeteria.
This is it, the palatial Zoom Room. Like this vast and ever-expanding Hubbard Broadcasting building. They have me like in this tunnel off a side closet. It's pretty epic. I mean, the listener, the viewer doesn't give a bleep, but it is fascinating how I ended up in this particular room this morning.
Fake brick as well?
Yeah, well,
is that real brick?
Real brick.
It's real.
Yeah, I mean, this brick might be 100 years old, but yeah, it might be real brick.
Impressive. Ordinarily, it's fake brick.
Doogie's safe in case of an apocalypse today. Yeah. By the way, today is the NBA trade deadline day. We are just, as we record this, we are like 4 hours away from the deadline. Because of timeliness, and we're pre-recording this, Doogie might throw a couple little scoops out NBA related toward the end here, but we don't. The minute that we get into something, it might lose timeliness. So we're going to stick mostly to Vikings NFL. We'll recap the trade deadline plenty across Score North.
Yeah, we'll get to the Wolves. I will tell you in this moment, not a whole lot going on, but I'll get to a move that is going to likely happen at some point.
Okay. So, well, the biggest news overnight in terms of Vikings. So Grant Udinski was a very much heralded assistant coach for the Vikings the last 2 or 3 years here. He came on board in 2022 to work on some special projects for Kevin O'Connell, quickly became the assistant quarterbacks coach in 2023. And then this last year, he added assistant offensive coordinator to his duties. So just like a fast riser who just turned 29 years old in January. And the Jacksonville Jaguars swooped in the middle of the night, and they stole him from the Vikings to be their offensive coordinator. But he worked very closely. I mean, Josh McCown, obviously, Wes Phillips, KOC. It was a group effort in that quarterback room. But Grant Udinski is on the pie chart of praise for Sam Darnold's breakout season and the early development phase of JJ McCarthy. So how big of a loss is this, Dukes?
It's certainly a loss. I mean, heck, 5 years ago, he was living in his car in a parking lot of a Walmart. He has climbed the ladder significantly. Now, he won't call plays. Liam Cohen will call plays in Jacksonville, but I get it. If you're Grant, like you're still young enough, get that title, ascend in the next year or two to call plays somewhere else. He is certainly on a track, not necessarily a fast track, but he is certainly on the pathway to eventually becoming a head coach. Highly, highly thought of. There is a reason why he received so many inquiries. And hey, why not go through the interview process? He interviewed with 4 different organizations. So it seemed inevitable that one of these might hit. It took a little while. I actually thought for a second he might be back, lose him a year from now, not now, but no big surprise. But like pecking order wise, if you're telling me of all the Vikings coaches, who could they have lost this offseason? He's still number 3 on my list. Like Flores 1, McCown 2, Udinski 3. Keenan McCardle, okay, somewhere in that mix. I just know how much the wide receiver room thinks of him. Durante Jones in that mix a bit too. I just know Metellus, Harrison Smith, others think the world of Durante. But certainly Grant would be up there, but he would not be 1 or 2. So if you're a Vikings fan, be incredibly grateful. Flores back, McCown back. But, Judd, they will miss Udinski.
Yes, but I'm inclined to agree with what you just said, which I think is exactly right. For the success that this team had, to lose a guy who was essentially the assistant QB coach and played a key role is not a huge loss, because you're going to lose, or you should lose, at least 1, if not 2 guys. So, yes, it's a loss. Can he be replaced? Probably. O'Connell knows a lot of people, but I would be far more concerned from the Viking standpoint if you had lost Flores or a key defensive coach, because I'm still pretty confident that with O'Connell steering the ship, that the offensive side of the ball is going to run pretty well. The defensive side, it could be okay, but there's no question Flores is essentially head coach defense. So I am, if I'm the Vikings, I'm actually excited because you do want to develop and get people promoted. But on the other hand, you didn't lose a guy, especially from the defense portion of the ball, that you consider to be vital to that success.
And I'm just saying, like, if it was one or the other in terms of JJ McCarthy's development this calendar year, I still feel more confident about McCown being here compared to Udinski. Now, Udinski is legit. You talk to enough people at TCO, they will sing his praises. You're not going to find anybody to say a bad word about him. Like, I'm telling you, like, in the next handful of years, he is going to be a head coach. I think McCown will also be a head coach in the next handful of years. But I'm just saying, if it was one or the other, I'm glad that McCown is still here to work with McCarthy.
Yeah. So JJ McCarthy this week went down to the Super Bowl and did a series of interviews for the first time since like September after the injury.
Did he go for sure? Because it looked like he was via Zoom.
Maybe he was via Zoom, but he was definitely like doing interviews with
pushing
Rich Eisen and pushing. Everyone's pushing. Remember when Stefon Diggs was just wearing like tight Old Spice T-shirts for 6 straight days? You know, these guys are just give me $100,000 and I'll promote whatever product, basically.
Heck, Von Miller, peak of his career 7 years ago, pretty much this week, or 7 years ago last week. I believe yesterday was the 7-year anniversary of the Super Bowl at US Bank Stadium. Maybe the coldest I've ever been that night doing TV at 10:30 across the street from US Bank Stadium. But anyway, I remember Mall of America, Von Miller, like MVP-esque level of play, Von Miller was hawking Old Spice. So yes, anybody will do just about anything for $1. So yeah, there's a lot of guys hawking products down in New Orleans.
You know, and even since we're down this street here for a second, we'll come back to McCarthy because we'll talk about he's ahead of schedule is what he said. But remember, so we had the Super Bowl here and everyone was complaining, including Doogie right here, how cold it was. And the beginning of the week, it was like 40 degrees. But by the end of the week, it was definitely wind chills were closer to the single digits. And anyone flying in from LA or Miami in their private jet was like, get me the hell out of here by Sunday. 1 year later, Super Bowl week, it was 55 degrees below zero temperature the middle of that week.
That's right.
Can you guys imagine?
Yeah, that's right.
I mean, it's kind of luck of the draw, right? Like this time of year. And if the Super Bowl had just been given to the Vikings the next year and you had people from around the world and it was minus 55 degrees, oh my gosh.
Regardless,
I would have loved to see the reaction.
If you want to put this under the reckless speculation umbrella, fine. The Super Bowl is, well, reckless speculation. In the long term, certainly the short term, the Super Bowl is not returning here. I can't say like never, ever, maybe 30 years from now.
New stadium.
A new stadium.
Next new stadium.
Okay, so I can't say like forever, like it's never, ever coming back. But
you'll probably be dead.
Yeah, I may be dead by the next time the Super Bowl comes here.
That's okay. As long as the WWE feeds us SummerSlam and WrestleMania once in a while, you know, it's we'll be okay. So anyways, JJ McCarthy said he is ahead of schedule. What does that mean? Like being ahead of schedule? Does that mean do you think he's going to be, from what you're hearing, a full participant? Is he? Because if the problem is if he's not a full participant right away in the spring portion, then he's behind after not playing a full year, and then I could see a scenario where okay, maybe they are a little nervous about him starting. But what did you make of him saying that he's ahead of schedule, quote unquote?
Well, what exactly does that mean? We were never given a definitive timeline. What does ahead of schedule mean? Like, I guess I sense that he'll be in pads that first day in early August, full pads. But like, if he's not taking every rep mid to late April into May, into the June mandatory mini camp, how much does that truly matter? I mean, I guess we can have that back and forth, but he is going to be out there. He'll be okay. Yeah, I mean, all signs point to him being fine. Somebody very, very close to him told me the day of KOC's season-ending news conference that, yes, like JJ is going to be ready that first week in September. Now, if he's the starting quarterback or not, again, we can have that discussion. I don't think Sam Darnold is coming back. That's the next talking point in this conversation with some of the chatter from Justin Jefferson down in New Orleans. But everybody that I've corresponded with has told me JJ is going to be ready week 1. That's what I care about. So I sense that means, okay, first day full pads, early August, 4 or 5 days into training camp. he is a full participant, but they may limit his reps April, May. Like, I don't know if he needs every single on-the-field rep. I get it. He missed a good amount of on-the-field reps, but I just don't know April and May if he has to take every single snap.
So I think the schedule question and the enthusiasm is a little bit of damage control from both the Vikings and McCarthy. If you guys recall, the Vikings were not thrilled when the second procedure that McCarthy had in season was deemed a surgery, and they basically didn't want that out at all because their thought process was everyone is going to panic. Everyone's going to think it's a chronic problem now, and he needed another surgery, and it was a cleanup. But I think now that they're trying to say, hey, that second thing, that was fine, which it probably was, but I think this is a little bit of damage control of don't be concerned, because when we saw that, it initially did set off some bells and whistles. So I think that's why we're going with the, hey, he's doing great now, and he is saying that he is ahead of schedule, because I think the reality is Dukes is right. Like, we never thought about, man, is there a schedule? Once he was put on season-ending IR, he was done, and our assumption was he's going to play, in September of 2025. So I think this is more of a attempt at saying that second thing was fine, and the Vikings were, I know, concerned about the fact that people were going to panic about that.
Excellent point. Yes. I mean, damage control, however you want to term it. Yes, I agree with that point. Like, this wasn't scheduled. To me, I've always said this.
Right.
To me, there's no such thing as a minor surgery. Yes, on cleanup. Yes, I get that.
Right.
Yes, you can term it a cleanup, but it still was not planned. This was never thought to be a thing. Yes, the initial surgery in August. No on something a few months later. So yes, I do think there is something to be said about that. But at his young age, just turned 22 the other day, January 20th. We share a birthday, right? So he just turned 22? Or is he 23 now? 22?
22, right?
Yeah, just turned 22. He will be more than fine. I am not concerned. But I'm just saying, anytime they put you under the knife, I don't think it's ever minor. I really don't. And so to me, there was reason to be somewhat concerned in that moment. But yeah, fast forward a few months, he's in a really good spot.
Yeah. We actually have breaking NFL news here with a loose tie to the Vikings. So, former Vikings general manager Rick Spielman was brought on as like a consultant, I guess, to help. It was him and Mike Tannenbaum, right? Weren't they brought on by the Jets? So former Jets GM yes. Mike Tannenbaum and former Vikings GM Rick Spielman to help craft the new front office, new general manager, hire the new coach. And Rick Spielman, in helping the Jets craft their new front office, stood up and said, I think I should be included in this new front office.
Oh, yeah,
Rick Spielman is back in the game from Pro Football Talk as a senior football advisor to the Jets front office that he helped build over the last month or so. So Rick Spielman is going to help fix the New York Jets. Go get him, Rick.
Godspeed.
And the new GM with the Jets, that's KOC's guy, right? He came from the Broncos organization.
Backup quarterback.
Came in KOC, go way back to San Diego State. So, hey, start the reckless speculation if Aaron Glenn fails.
Sorry, we're firing Aaron Glenn already.
Right?
Kirk?
Is it that unreasonable? If you said, hey, which teams are most likely
to
fire the coach they just hired, the Jets would be high on that list.
They would. I don't know if they would be number one on that list. But yeah, they would be somewhere near the top. I'm just saying, if it's the theme of Thursday, reckless speculation, no. I mean, KOC is going to be here for a long time. Just an interesting connection. Spielman, Vikings, KOC to the new Jets general manager.
Are we making Kwesi go through another draft before the extension here? Or what's
I think it gets done sooner than that. I do. I mean, he was tied up in Mobile. He was at the Senior Bowl. He was business as usual. Yeah, I don't have any sense that thing is not going to get done before, let's say, March of 2026 or January of 2026.
Dex, say that quarterback name again. That intrigued me right there.
What about Kirk? Kirk and Spielman reuniting in New York.
and KO's relationship with the GM. I mean, KO likes Kirk.
Speculation.
Wait, what do you say? The KO? What do you mean KO?
I said KO likes Kirk. He's best friends with the Jets' new GM.
Okay.
I could see him recommending Kirk Cousins.
Spielman likes Kirk.
GM.
Okay.
Rick
I was still hung up on the Jets trading for KO thing that Doogie sent out.
Oh, no. Sorry.
I was
Rick Spielman signed Kirk. The new GM is friends with O'Connell, O'Connell would give Kirk a recommendation. Kirk is almost certainly going to be a very cheap option for a team since the Falcons are going to be on the hook for the contract. I am recklessly like putting pieces of a puzzle together.
This is like
grandmaster
this
puzzle.
is when the Patriots came up with like 10 or 12 years ago a one-word code system for their elaborate playbook so that they could efficiently say one word and it meant like all of these things. And that's like Judd speaking in shorthand sometimes.
Yes.
Where you will have this like calculus equation going on in your head and you'll say KO.
16, right?
Kirk. Yeah.
16.
16, right?
16. That's golf terminology. You guys didn't get that. This one you're right about.
We didn't get it.
But Dukes, I could. I think Dex has a point here. This is interesting.
I think he absolutely has a point. Although Stefanski added one of his guys from the Vikings, I forget the name, in the last 24 hours, somebody that has a Cousins connection. So I still would put the Browns above the Jets.
Okay.
But yes, there is now added intrigue to Cousins landing with the Jets. No doubt about that.
Interesting.
Yeah, look up the name. I forget the name. Somebody sent me a text saying, hey, do you remember this guy? I said, no, I actually don't. But there is a coach that Stefanski added that has Minnesota ties.
Okay.
We'll get to some more things in Doogie's scoop bag here, but Dex, there's a big game coming up in a few days. A very large football game.
Huge. Yes.
Very big game. And for our new users, if you go sign up at Underdog with promo code SCORE, you get a free, well, not a free. Yeah, it is a free pick. It's 0.5 yards on Travis Kelce, okay? So you can just take higher on that. He just needs 1 yard. Or if you really want to be, extra ballsy and go under, you could do that as well. Regardless, a free pick'em with new users when you sign up a promo code SCORE. Plus, current users, a no-sweat token is in that lobby for you. So our friends at Underdog are helping you have a lot of fun with the big game. New users, promo code SCORE. Go sign up and go get in on the action at the big game with Underdog.
It's week 1 of the 2023 NFL season. Aaron Rodgers just needs 0.5 passing yards. 0.5 passing yards. Oh, God, my Achilles. Pep's Legit Pizza, by the way. Pep's Legit Pizza is some of the most legit, phenomenal pizza that I have had. In fact, we've been good for like at least one a week here the last probably 4 weeks. And I just went into a grocery store nearby, walked over to the frozen pizza section, and saw the glorious boxes of Legit Pizza staring at me with that stone-baked cracker-thin crust, zesty tomato sauce, whole milk mozzarella, exceptional ingredients. Had the sausage, and I think it's right there on the YouTube channel right there, the sausage and mushroom.
Yeah.
In the words of Tim the Toolman Taylor, whatever his little thing was. Find Legit Pizzas at a store near you to have an authentic, at-home pizza parlor experience. So let's do Twins here for a second.
Well, do you want to get to Jefferson? Because I know Justin
sure.
is making the rounds in New Orleans, but
sure, let's do it.
Like, cue up the interviews from this time last year. What was he saying about?
He thinks Darnold's coming back.
So I hope Vikings fans don't gravitate toward JJ's words about Sam and Sam potentially coming back. It's all word salad right now. Justin making the rounds on Radio Row. I wouldn't necessarily buy what Justin is selling with those.
Do you
words.
think the Vikings have told him, and like, because the PR staff is they have a good, savvy PR staff. Do you think they told him, hey, listen, so you're going to be doing a bunch of interviews. They're going to ask you about JJ McCarthy and Sam Darnold. It's in the best interest. I mean, you love Sam anyway, so like speak the truth about how much you love Sam. But it is in the best interest of Sam and the Vikings for it to seem like they are going to stay together, because it creates leverage for Sam to make more money, and it creates leverage for the Vikings to get compensation. So anytime you're near a microphone, Justin, if you could pump Sam's tires and also talk about how he's going to come back as Vikings quarterback, doesn't that help everyone involved?
Well, I mean, think about it. Now, yes, media relations folks have dialogue with Vikings players, Vikings coaches, Vikings staff members all the time.
Mm-hmm.
There's just about always a media strategy. So yes, behind the scenes, those conversations take place all the time. In this specific instance, all I know is the Vikings have a good amount of people down there. So we have the honors show tonight. Is KOC Coach of the Year. Like, there's enough Vikings people in New Orleans. So to me, like, why wouldn't Justin have gathered with somebody high up with the Vikings? And I don't know how that question doesn't come up. Now, did they tell him exactly how to answer? I'm not ready to say that, but I can just tell you on the surface, like, overall, those conversations happen all the time.
Justin also, to his credit, correct me if I am wrong here, I cannot remember a time that this young man has ever created a headline. Like he will elaborate on topics of like football stuff, right? But like when his contract was an issue, he was as milquetoast as it got, which by the way was smart. Like he's a smart dude. So I think he is very much hey, you know what? Status quo. Because you can't go wrong. You can't go wrong by saying, I love Kirk. Kirk's fantastic. I want to catch the ball from Kirk for the next 15 years. He's gone now? We'll move on. So, like, that's the thing with this guy, and it's what makes him so unique for his position. He, unless he wants to, and it's almost positive, he never creates a headline.
Yeah, well, I mean, I think he was schooled well at LSU. I mean, think about how special
Correct.
that LSU team was that last year, going to the White House.
You're right.
You know, being in the national spotlight all the time. He learned a lot of those lessons in Baton Rouge. So he just carried those lessons over to Minnesota. But I'm with you. He doesn't create headlines. He's the anti-wide receiver, right? Like, we think about wide receiver, we think about diva. He's far from a diva.
Yeah, we're going to play like some of his comments at length on Purple Daily Thursday today, too. So obviously check that out if you want deeper dive into Vikings here, too. So, Dukes, the Twins are on a streak of 2 days in a row signing free agents. Can we keep ramping this thing up? Who has to leave? Are we just taking on the money, or does money have to go? The Twins are on fire right now with the hot stove. So what do you anticipate?
Yeah, I mean, I've anticipated for a long time a Chris Paddock trade. I absolutely can still see that. I mean, they're open-minded on Willie Castro, Christian Vasquez as well. But if I had to bet on anybody moving on, to me, it's Paddock. You add in the last couple of days a little over $6 million, Harrison Bader, a little over or about $3 million with Danny Coulomb. So that's $9-ish million coming in. They didn't have $9-ish million of flexibility. So they have to create some financial flexibility here relatively soon. Heck, they're at 42 players once those guys sign when it comes to the 40-man roster. So there's a couple roster moves they have to make just to get to 40 players. The reason I say potentially 3, they are kicking the tires, actually more than kicking the tires, on a backup shortstop. So they don't want Willie Castro to play shortstop. They don't want Willie Castro to play center field. That's why we've been talking for a while. They were looking for somebody who could play center field, right-handed bat. They've been having dialogue on Bader for a while. The number finally came down to a reasonable figure, and the two sides came together. But whether it's Louis, I don't know how you say the last name. Is it Urias, former Milwaukee Brewer? Paul DeYoung maybe too, but Louis Urias. Yeah, I mean, I received a text 10 minutes ago. I said, what are the chances that Louis ends up with the Twins? Somebody with direct knowledge, quote, decent. So at least something to keep an eye on. Okay. Louis Urias potentially landing with the Twins. That would not be a break the bank type contract. That's a 1 year, not that much money type contract. But for a team that hadn't signed a free agent to a major league deal all off season, and now we have the potential of them reaching an agreement for a third consecutive day, or maybe it's, in the next few days, 3 in the span of just a handful of days, major league contracts. It certainly is noteworthy. And call me nuts. Declan, call me nuts if you want.
You're nuts.
I think right now, if Alex Bregman ends up with Detroit, we can have a different conversation. But I still feel like the Twins have the best roster in the American League Central.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, on paper, for sure. I mean, on paper, and if you know what I mean, if the injuries don't happen, 100% they do. I I like Detroit's top rotation still. I like Scooble into Flaherty, and if Jackson Jobe turns into the prospect he's supposed to be, like now all of a sudden Detroit's legit players. Cleveland is always going to be pesky, and Kansas City maybe overachieved and outperformed what we thought they were going to do last year, but man, they got one of the best players in the world in Bobby Witt Jr., and we'll see what happens there. It's as much as no one will probably win 95 games or maybe even 90 games in that division, it's still 4 teams that all have a case to still win the Central.
Put it this way. I will be shocked if the Twins are not playing meaningful games in September. Heck, as bad as last year was, they were still playing meaningful games in the final month. I firmly believe, yes, I get it. Correa, Buxton, Lewis, like there have to be games played there. They can't be shelved for multiple months. I understand that. So durability matters in this equation. But I'm just telling you, I will be shocked, minimum, if the Twins are not playing meaningful games come September.
Dukes, of the 3 names that you broached as possible trade candidates, which one of those would the Twins be able to shed completely without potential salary pickup? Because I would guess Castro, yes. Paddock, I'm curious about, and there is no way that any team, in my opinion, unless it's a complete steal for them, is going to take on the majority of that Vasquez contract.
Yeah, no, it's not Christian. So, yes, I mean, Willie, you could move the Willie money, right? Coming off an all-star year, I get it. There's no one set position for him, but you can move his $6 million. You don't need to retain any of that salary. Paddock is the one, right? That's the interesting one, and I don't have a firm answer right this second. He's at, what, a little over $8 million, Declan? Does that sound right?
9. Yeah.
Tick over 8? Okay, so closer to even
much,
9,
guys.
so it's more than a tick over 8. So there may have to be a little bit of money retention. Now, I was also told, going back to Twins Fest weekend, that, 134, but there was some leeway there. Like, they could go to Joe, the Pohlad family, and say, hey, can we blow by that just ever so slightly? So, like, if the end number is more like 136 or 7 or even 8, that was doable, that they weren't necessarily married to that set 134 number.
Yeah. Dukes, give us a couple minutes of rapid fire scoops here. If there is anything Wolves related that you want to throw out there in the 3 or 4 hours before the trade deadline, it may lose timeliness very quickly, but go ahead.
Move, I would keep an eye on more than any is Jalen Clark being converted from a 2-way to a standard deal. That is something the Wolves have all sorts of interest in. It makes all sorts of logical sense. He is now like a set member of the rotation. That is not changing anytime soon. We knew the second they drafted him out of UCLA, even coming off the Achilles injury, that he had an instant NBA skill. All-world defender, the best defensive player in college his final year at UCLA. He is a pest on defense. You can see the impact, the energy he brings. Well, you don't want him on a 2-way. So, to me, if there's any move that happens, it's Jalen Clark on a standard deal. I did check on Torrey Craig. Right now, nothing. Like, he's bought out by Chicago. The Wolves are not engaged on that front. I checked on Mo Bamba. There's some Lakers interest there, although the Lakers now get Mark Williams, so maybe the Lakers don't now pivot toward Mo Bamba. Dennis Schroeder is fascinating, but remember, the Wolves being a second apron team, they can't sign Dennis Schroeder. So if Utah ultimately buys out Dennis Schroeder, like, you would absolutely welcome Dennis Schroeder. Well,
or
because
Kyle
he
Anderson
makes too much money. Well, Kyle's a different.
He could be a buyout, right?
One. Yeah, well,
it's a multi-year deal, though, isn't it?
Yeah, well, I mean, there was some talk of him ending up in Toronto, but maybe it's not Toronto. Maybe it's just Miami now. So there's still some things to figure out on the Kyle Anderson front. But sure, perhaps a name to keep an eye on. But being a second apron team, you can't sign then somebody who's bought out that's above like the mid-level. And Schroeder's at like 13 million or 12.8. So long story short, the Wolves can't sign Dennis Schroeder. So if Dennis Schroeder hits the buyout market, just cross him off the list. He cannot end up in a Wolves uniform. But the Wolves do have an open roster spot. They are at 14. And so to me, the most logical move is Jalen Clark to a standard deal. We await word on the arbitration decision. I am led to believe it's more likely tomorrow or Monday, not today. I would say both sides remain cautiously optimistic. Certainly the Laurie and A-Rod side. I've said this any number of times. I'm a broken record. They've always had a compelling case. I will tell you, put it under the reckless speculation umbrella if you want. I brought up his name in this space either last Tuesday or Thursday. Ethan Casson, high up. What's his official title? Is he Wolves CEO?
He's CEO.
Yeah. Well, the Houston Texans recently hired a team president. Like, he's looked around, right? So what does that tell you? Because he knows everything. That's one of Glenn's guys. He knows everything. Okay, so he's looked around minimum. What does that tell you potentially? What does he know? And I will also tell you, okay, it's not likely coming today, although I'm on standby, more likely tomorrow or Monday. But like the 3 arbitrators, the decision's made. Like, they know right this second what the decision is. So I just don't know why they don't put it out or at least email the attorneys for both sides. By the way, the latest number I heard, the amount of money being paid to all the lawyers involved, plus the 3 arbitrators, I heard it is approaching north of $40 million, maybe even close to $50
They now own the
million.
team. Yeah, they're awarding the team to themselves. We'll take the team.
Fees. Could you imagine being the losing side? Yes, it would stink because you lose, but then all the many millions of dollars you're out from paying these attorney/arbitration fees. It is off the charts.
Brutal.
The amount of money that has been spent on this case.
Yeah. Man, that's brutal. And to your point, just off the top of your take there, Dukes, in hearing from both sides, I have continued to be amazed that both sides are 95 to 99% sure. Like people that are in and among like the trust tree of both sides, 95 to 99% sure that they are winning this case.
That's amazing.
It's weird. Like the fact that this should be a black and white. This is legal paperwork that has very clear cut parameters. I would think. I don't know. We've never.
Well, I'll take it a step
negotiated
further.
over a basketball team, but
I've had people tied to both sides, so maybe not firsthand, so maybe down a rung, but still with enough, in the game enough, right? That they think the decision is going to be 3-0. Like, I'll be surprised if it's 3-0.
Both sides have kind of thought that, or
I've heard,
just one?
I've heard from people on both sides. 3-0.
So the person that was picked by one side is going to side with the other side?
I can't for the life of me actually see that happening, but that's how confident there are people on both sides.
Write this down. Write this down right now. This will come out 4 p.m. or later on Friday.
Yeah. Friday? Yes.
Yes, Friday.
Yes.
Friday.
It's going to be a news dump.
Yeah.
Well, it'll be interesting to see how it even gets out. Like, I guess if the Taylor side wins, he has Wolves public relations put out a press release. If Mark and Alex
it just says
win,
I'm back.
I'm back.
Yeah, like,
I hope he's okay. I still
do
haven't seen him.
they? Well, I mean that's another topic. Yes, but Mark and Alex, if they prevail, does Alex put it on his social media? Do they pick out their favorite national reporter or local reporter?
Yes.
Like, how do they put out the news? Because I imagine the way it works is
no offense.
The attorneys find out, they're emailed the decision from the arbitrators. Then, I guess, however you want to put it out.
Give it to Dane. Give it to Dane.
Matter.
This is a
give it to Dane Moore.
This is a sham special.
Give it to Dukes. Give it to someone local, man.
If Dukes starts to pay the league a huge rights fee, he'll get it first. But unfortunately, Shams works for one, so
teach me the second apron and I'll take
me.
it from you.
I don't mind whether I have it first or not, as long as I can follow up, right? So if I have direct access to both parties, hopefully both parties are willing and able to have a conversation, and on the record conversation. That's what I care about. Like, let's hear from both sides as soon as we can. A reminder, this is said to be a binding arbitration, but I've alluded to this going back months. Is there some wiggle room? Like, how binding is binding? It is in writing. Binding arbitration. But could there still be potentially some litigation after the decision is rendered? I'm just saying, like, some people have wondered about that, but it's clear as day in writing, binding arbitration. But this fascinating process is about to come to an end. Now, if Mark and Alex win, Okay, 23 of 29 votes from the Board of Governors. I actually think now they're in a pretty good spot to get those 23 votes. Wasn't so sure a year or 2 years ago. They've established some good relationships. I think they're in a pretty good spot that if they prevail in this arbitration case, that they can get those 23 votes.
Wow. Great drama here to end the week in the NBA and here on the Scoop Sessions. Darren Doogie Wolfson from the 5 Eyewitness News Zoom room.
Judd, where will you be tonight? The X or Target Center?
I was at Target Center last night, so I will be at the X tonight.
Fair. I'm taking the young one. Taking my man Keaton tonight to see the Houston Rockets. Will Fred VanVleet be back? Will Tari Eason be back? The Rockets have lost 4 in a row. Potential first-round playoff matchup. If you're a Wolves fan, I would say bring on the Houston Rockets in the first round.
I want to see Terrence Shannon Jr. on a back-to-back here. If Finch kind of hinted that he's close to not only like being ready to be back suited up officially, but also that he's done enough in practice to impress him. So I want 5 Terrence Shannon Jr. minutes tonight. That's
may happen. I mean, I'm just thinking about matchups with the Rockets. Definitely curious who's available for Houston, but wouldn't necessarily rule that out. That's what stinks about the ankle injury, that yes, he's now back, but like if he was healthy 3 weeks ago, 2 weeks ago, I think that would have happened in that moment. Like he has shown enough, especially in his G League time. Just unfortunate that he had the setback, but yeah, he's feeling pretty good right now. I'm with you, Phil. I'd love to see 5 minutes. Hey, can they win tonight? Get the 2-2 on this homestand. Beat the red-hot Portland Trailblazers on Saturday. Get the 3-2 on this homestand. The Kings lost last night. The Suns lost last night. The Warriors lost at Utah last night. So if you're a Wolves fan, last night was a good night.
Yep. Amen. All right, Dukes. We'll let you get back to it. Darren Doogie Wolfson. We'll see you next Tuesday.
We'll keep an eye on, maybe arbitration more so tomorrow or Monday. But certainly the Twins may be signing a backup shortstop.
Yeah. All right, boys. There it is. Minnesota Sports with Mackey and Judd. A happy Reckless Speculation Thursday to you all.